Oh, yeah. I was really getting into that. See me over there like this? Yeah. Oh, the eye of the storm. So it's that place of wholeness and calm in the midst of chaos. It's those moments when we remember that God is acting in us, through us, and as us, no matter what is happening in our lives. And it's those thoughts of peace that we can bring into any moment where we may feel challenged. It's how do we ride this flow and welcome the divine into that ride with us through the ups and the downs of life. Kind of like a roller coaster. Have you felt sometimes like life is a roller coaster? You're going up, 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 and you're having fun, and then boom, right back down, right? Well, I'm going to tell you a story about how I was literally on a roller coaster not too long ago. And true confession, I am an adrenaline junkie. I actually love roller coasters, right? And so I was in this theme park, and I was fascinated watching this roller coaster because it was unlike one I'd ever seen. The riders on this coaster were in a horizontal position like birds flying over the trees and soaring down around the ponds. I thought, oh, this is something new. I got to try this, right? Doing face happy dance. So, what I didn't, there were some things that I didn't really know what I was getting into. You know, sometimes life is like that, right? You're all excited, you're gonna, get into something new and exciting, but then you have a moment where you're like, that kid. Okay? So, I did what I needed to do to get on this roller coaster. I stood in line forever. And, so it's my turn to board the coaster. And as I get on, they put us in these seats. And I'm a little confused because I'm like, well, I thought I was going to fly like a bird. What am I doing sitting down? But I go with it. I sit down and I get into this really heavy harness over my shoulders. And there's a girl, she looks like she's about 12 years old, in the seat next to me. She strikes up a conversation. Have you been on this ride before? And I said, well, no, but it looks really fun. Have you? And she said, yes, it's my favorite ride. I've been on it lots and lots. And then she says, are you scared? I did not have the opportunity to respond to her because the gears above my head clicked. And the seat that I was so solidly sitting on disappeared up behind me. And I was hanging in midair in this harness. Before my brain could even process this new sensation of hanging in the air, the ride just took off on what felt like 1,000,000 miles an hour. I cannot even tell you how I got into that bird flying position, but there I was, soaring over the trees and swooping down around ponds, and that was really great and awesome, right? But then the ride did what roller coasters always do. It hit that place where there's the slow descent up the hill. You know that one? Where you're waiting and you're getting excited for, well, I was getting excited for the speed of going down the hill. What I didn't count on, like that kid, was that I would be going head first down the hill. Bird position, right? Head first. I'm looking at the ground. I'm seeing my life flash in front of my eyes. And I had a sensation that I don't think I've ever had before, where my stomach came up into my throat. And I'm realizing, hey, Rev, this is not going to be a good look. So what'd I do? I didn't want to bring up my lunch, right? So I took a deep breath. Because this is what we're taught in our spiritual practice, right? When we're feeling stressed, we take a deep breath, and we now know that modern science brings on all those hormones of happiness and de-stresses us. And yes, I was able to save my lunch because I've had years and years and years and years of spiritual practice to get to this point today where I get to talk to you about it. So, we came to the end of the ride. And the girl next to me says, "Was that fun?" I said, "Yes, I think it was. I think." And she said, "Were you scared?" And I was honest. I said, "Yeah, for a moment." And she said, "Will you ride with me again?" "Oh, no." No. Been there, done that. I've had that life experience. Thank you very much. So this roller coaster metaphor is a story for how we ride the ups and downs of life, and we bring God into these stressful moments. Because the root word of the word breathe in Greek is the same as the word for prayer. So when we pray without ceasing, we're inviting God into every moment of our lives, right? It's a Greek word. I can't pronounce it. So is your life like a roller coaster? Maybe you didn't realize what you signed up for. Now you can't get out of it. Or maybe you're in a situation where there's somebody else that's just spoiling it for you. They're competitive, there's some defensiveness, misperceptions, separations, all these things that kind of push our buttons and we forget who we truly are, that the divine is within us. So today, let's talk about moving beyond the woe is me's and the not my fault, and just claim our experience as part of the divine design for our lives. Because once we claim it, then we can transform it. Because everything is one in the divine. And the eye of the storm is your wholeness. It's your spiritual essence, where you can experience the storm without resisting it, where you can grow in the flow of the divine. Because we know that what arises as an adversary in your life comes from within you. It comes from your own thoughts of fear and lack. Now, in Matthew chapter 4, it's described about how Jesus spent 40 days in the wilderness. And after those 40 days, the devil showed up to tempt him. And the temptations recounted in the story are areas where, from the human perspective, it looks like Jesus was lacking. Food, because he'd been fasting for 40 days. Fame, because he was about to embark on a ministry tour. And wouldn't it be nice if he were as famous as Taylor Swift is today, and it was just easy and people were just coming out of the woodwork weeks in advance to see him? And the third one was about power, because the message he was going to deliver was controversial and dangerous. And would it have been a different ending if he had held some worldly power? So we're going to get into some details about those temptations, but first let's recognize the growth that Jesus had leading up to these temptations. 40 days. Now we know the number 40 is actually not a literal number. In the Bible, it really just means the time it takes to get to completion. So, did he really go without food and water and shelter for more than a month? Maybe not. Rather, he took as much time in solitude as he needed to grow and be one in the flow of God. So all challenges, as Rev Juan has been reminding us these couple of weeks, all challenges are a sign of the readiness of the soul to move on, to evolve even further. That's the quote Rev Pam has used from author Neil Donald Walsh. We also have this teaching from classic Unity author Elizabeth Sand Turner. She wrote, "The attainment of a higher consciousness is generally followed by a testing period. In the development of the Christ mind, an entirely new and wider set of ideas and situations has to be met. Jesus' experiences in the wilderness show us how to deal with the thoughts and desires of our human experience, and how to place them under proper discipline. So after the years of his inner preparation in Nazareth, his baptism by John the Baptist, and then these 40 days and his experience of temptations, his testing, Jesus was only then fully equipped to show us the way to live as Christ. So this first temptation, devil shows up, Jesus is hungry, right? He says, hey, if you are who you say you are, you can turn these stones into bread. But Jesus answered, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. Okay? So going deeper into this passage, metaphysically, the temptation represents the desire for results without work, like expecting to win the lottery if you didn't buy a ticket. So he's telling us, you gotta do the work, you gotta do the spiritual work, right? Another way to look at it is thinking that material goods, like the bread, the material goods are gonna satisfy our desire for oneness. That the mistake that material goods are gonna satisfy our need for communion with God, okay? So just from this first temptation, Jesus reminds us that we are one in the flow of the divine. This is when he pointed to the word, he's talking about God, that flow of the divine. So he's saying, don't take the easy way out. Do your spiritual work to realize the presence of God in your life. So the second temptation, the devil took him to the pinnacle of the temple, highest point. And he said, it's written, there's a prophecy that if you jump off the temple, angels are going to catch you. And if that happens and you're saved, then you're going to be famous. Everybody's going to be talking about you. Right? And Jesus said, don't try me. He literally said, don't try me. According to the gospel, it says, thou shalt not make trial of the Lord thy God. So Satan's saying, I know who you are. Show all the people and you'll be famous. And Jesus says, don't try me. I know better than that. Because Jesus knew his divine nature. And he is the example for all of us to know our own worth as well. So if you remember in every moment that you are divine, will you get upset if your boss tells you to rework a project? Or if your kid throws a tantrum in Target? Or if your partner forgot to pick up that one thing you really needed from the grocery store? No, you'll stay in the flow. You'll be in the eye of the storm. Now the third temptation, again, the devil takes him up on a high mountain, shows him all the kingdoms below, and he says, if you serve me, all this will be yours. Now, this is where Jesus has had enough. He says, get thee behind me, Satan. He says, get out of here. I don't need any of this. I serve only God. So metaphysically, to worship the devil is to put your attention in this material world. Simply put, it's that temptation to say, I don't have time for a spiritual practice. I don't have time to meditate this morning. I'm not going to church because it's raining. All those thousands of excuses that I told myself over the years to put my relationship with God on a back burner, let it wait one more day. But without the awareness of that flow of the divine in your life, how is your life experience? If you're working 80 hours a week in a pursuit of material wealth, and you're not taking care of your mind, your body, your spirit, your relationships, how does it feel? Does your body feel energized and well-rested? Or are you tight from stress? Are you cranky and sharp in your conversations? How's that affecting your family, your relationships? Jesus taught us through his experience that your relationship with the divine must be your priority. You'll experience the flow of the divine goodness and a shift in every area of your life. Now here's a practice. Repeat after me. I grow in the flow. All right, now for all of you who may have drifted off, one more time. I grow in the flow. And this is how we remain centered through the storms of life, remembering that the divine is in every situation. Unity author Ellen Davenport describes God as a force of energy, a field of love and intelligence that is the foundation of the universe. God is not a supreme being watching, judging, parenting, or protecting us, but rather the substance of all that exists, including us. And that is Unity's first and second principles. Now, when I experience God in everywhere and as everything, how can anything be against me? Because I am part of it. I am whole. I am in and through and as the divine. And so is everyone else, everyone in this room. So when challenges arise, I ask myself, what is coming up for me that I have created this? I know that I agreed to get on that roller coaster, even if I wasn't ready for everything that came with it. But I agreed to that, and I grow in the flow. And you will too. Namaste.